In this video, guys, I'm gonna show you how to rig the #1 bait for surf fishing, sand fleas. I'm gonna give you 3 methods I've used for years running surf fishing guides. This is not the only 3 methods to do it, guys. It's just the way I've been doing it that's been successful for me. My name is Blane Roberts, owner and operator of Panhandle Salt Beach Fishing. We're running beach fishing guides in Perdido Key, Pensacola, Orange Beach, and Gulf Shores, Alabama. First thing we gotta do, guys, we gotta catch some. We got these little beauties today, guys. Those are like money size. Let's start with the basics, guys. Just your standard pompano rig. Most surf fishermen are using either 1/0 or 2/0 hooks, so these are 1/0s today. This is what you'll find at every tackle shop. Let's give a quick rundown of our little friend here. This part here is his head. You see his little eyes right there. Those are his little antenna eyes. Then the back side of him has the digger. That's how they get underneath the sand, and that also protects their eggs. This one doesn't have an egg sac. Let me find one that does. Usually the bigger ones come with the sack, and that's what it looks like, guys. That's what these fish are after. And again, that little digger serves 2 purposes. It digs and it protects. And now I'm gonna go over how I rig these guys just like your standard way, same way I've been doing it for years. I go in by his head. So again, this is his head. You'll see a little crack right there. Get my hook in there. There's a little crack. I call that the butt crack, but again, that is not the butt. I go in right of the side of that, being careful not to hit the middle. If I hit the middle, I'm gonna kill it. And then once I fill the outer shell, I just slowly work it through, and it gives it this nice little presentation. The hook's off to the side. This guy can still move around. Obviously, he's not dead. And that's got a good grip on the hook, like when you're slinging a long cast. I always look at the shell, make sure it's not cracked anyway. Sometimes you will crack it if you go too hard. But as you can see here, it has a nice little puncture. Hook went straight through. We got plenty of gap right there for a fish to get hooked on. And this sand flea will crush. So once a fish hits that, this guy will crush down and he'll get hooked. Sand fleas come in all sizes, guys, so we're gonna do that same style rigging with a little tiny one. It doesn't matter the size, you can get this done. Again, we're gonna make sure we have his head. Look for that little crack down the middle. Go right to the side of it. Once I feel that point hit the shell, I slow it down a little bit and just work it really easily. We got a nice presentation. He's still moving, he's alive. And we have plenty of gap in that hook. So why do we use drops with our leaders surf fishing? There's a few different reasons. So with a double drop, you're covering 2 different zones. You got 1 drop closer to the bottom, and you got 1 drop higher up in the water column. Great way to find fish quicker. Over the years, I've transitioned into single drops for many different reasons. Too much to go into right now, but I'm basically a single drop using guy. And what the drops also do is keeps our bait off the bottom, again, for multiple reasons. We got them little bottom feeders down there, stingrays. Stingrays love to cruise the bottom. And with live bait like sand fleas, they'll dig down in the sand. So let's say you're throwing this on a Carolina style rig. This guy's gonna be laying on bottom. He's gonna dig and bury himself, and the fish will never see him. I'll show you a way to overcome that. So here we have our Carolina style rig. I got a slider on it, so I got the slider on the main line with the weight. Then I got my leader to my hook. I use these mainly for drum fishing, but sand fleas make a great drum bait. So I'll show you how to hook a flea on a Carolina style rig that keeps them from digging underneath the surface. We are gonna go completely opposite of everything I just told you guys, and we're gonna find his butt. We're gonna find this digger. We're gonna pull that digger up. And you got to be very careful. Work, 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 and just push it through. There we go. Now this guy is hooked on his digger. He ain't digging nothing, guys. So you can safely throw this guy and let him sit on bottom, and he ain't going nowhere. It will also expose his eggs. If this guy had eggs, it would expose his eggs more, which would attract fish. So you have sand flea on digger, leader, you have your slider weight on your main line. This is a great method to fish for drum out here. Now let's talk about the bigger fleas. I've caught some of the biggest fish of my life and smallest on big fleas. There's a lot of debate out there, guys, with the big fleas. A lot of people just throw them back. They won't even use them. I have discovered a method with these big fleas that has produced a lot of fish for me, guys. And I'm gonna share that with y'all now. If you keep getting rakes and rakes full of big fleas, don't fret. You're gonna hook him just like you would the traditional way, right to the side of that little crack. Work him through the shell. He's nice and hooked, looks delicious, but it might be too much bait for what we're targeting. Pompano have a fairly small mouth, guys. I've played around with a lot of pompano over the years, especially when I'm cleaning them. Opening their mouths, you know, and things like that, just to really see how big of an opening they have. And although, yeah, it's a smaller mouth like compared to other fish we're targeting out here, it still opens up pretty big. But just like inshore fishing, sometimes they don't want to challenge, especially in the real hot months or the real cold months. They're lethargic. They don't want to chase anything down. They don't want to fight. They want an easy meal. So just like inshore fishing, we drop our plastics down, right? You can do the same thing with a big flea, and this is the way you can do it, which it'll stay on the hook. Once I have it hooked and rigged, then I come in with my scissors and I cut him in half. If you try to cut it in half first and then rig it, it's gonna be very brittle. I made that mistake for a long time, guys. And then one day it just hit me. Like, why don't I cut it second? I've been using this method for about 2 years now, guys, and it produces. You still got your eggs in there, you got some juices flowing, and I will use that second half for my up close rods. Why my up close rods? Because I'm not putting a lot of oomph into my cast. I'm basically just tossing those guys right off the shoreline. So there's not a lot of velocity going to sling my little brittle half a flea off. Big flea, get him rigged, cut him in half, and catch some pompano. You guys, I hope that was helpful. Sand fleas is the #1 bait out here, especially for pompano. It makes sense. There's just so many of them that it's an easy meal. So if you can learn how to spot, catch, store, and then rig sand fleas, your success rate out here is gonna skyrocket. Guys, if you're ever in the Pensacola, Perdido Key area and you would like to run a trip with me, learn some things, you can find all my information at panhandlesalt.com. Again, we have hundreds of videos, all related to surf fishing on YouTube under Panhandle Salt. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye-bye.